Namaste. This is Zabeen Loyanmoon. I am here to initiate conversation with Dr. Narendra Bhatt, who has been an Ayurvedic practitioner for nearly 50 years. Dr. Narendra Bhatt is a double postgraduate in sciences as well as Ayurveda. He has had an illustrious career holding several positions such as medical director, research director for several companies, as well as CEO of Jhandu, one of India's largest Ayurvedic pharmaceuticals. The most unique thing about Dr. Narendra Bhatt is that in spite of holding all these positions and many more, he has always continued his fourth generational Ayurvedic clinical practice. Namaste, sir. Sir, I would like to know, how did you come to choose Ayurveda as a career, and how did your family tradition affect your practice?
Zabeen, first of all, let me really compliment you for taking this initiative, for this conversation with me about Ayurveda. I think this has been a long-term demand from many of my well-wishers and patients, and I must say thank you to you for initiating this process. Coming to my career, yes, as a child, I grew up in an environment of Ayurveda. My father was a renowned Ayurvedic practitioner, practicing in South Bombay. My grandfather was both astrologer and a Ayurvedic physician with his own unique ways of treating patients. And the Ayurvedic tradition started in my family from my great grandfather, who opted to become an Ayurvedic physician by learning, by self-learning. As far as my understanding goes, or my memory goes, I still remember my young days when I was a child. I'll go to my father's clinic and taste a Lavana Bhaskar or Ingwastak. These are the predominantly salt or asafoetida containing products. And I'll be able to differentiate both being antiflatulence, and then later I learned where they either could be used in a specific clinical condition. That is how your upbringing comes up.
Please.
So I got exposed to those products or Draxasa or Dashmularist as a child, and where to use them. More, and I learned more about my grandfather, who unfortunately I never met him because he took sannyas 10 years before my birth. But from his books and papers, I came across a one only example I will cite for his depth, where between 1925 and 1930, he attended to 126 cases of pneumodermatopathy, Galaganda, and that were recorded in a very systematic manner, including the outcomes. He was a master of both Ayurvedic classical herbal preparations as well as those of Rasoshadis, we call it alchemy. So this was very inspiring. When you read from his books, he left about 13 big granthas. That really made me interested in this whole subject more and more. While in science, even my father wanted to, I don't know what he meant, but he wanted me to become a medical doctor and also continue with Ayurveda. So I was wondering how I will be able to do it. But fortunately, I got into the Ayurvedic college by reasons at that time. And that very second year of my career, my college, I got so much passionate about the subject that I decided not to leave it. And that became the purpose of my life. So that is how I learned. And then there were many more experiences which really helped me to get myself committed more and more to Ayurveda as a practice, because my father told me at that time, this is one profession where you can sit in your own place, you can treat the ailing, and whatever you want to earn, what you are eligible to earn in your life, you'll be able to learn by that method. This is how I began my career.
So, what were the other influences that affected your clinical practice?
A good question. See, while I learned a lot from my father was also a very socially oriented, socio-politically oriented person in the field of Ayurveda. So both as a child and also when I was a student, I used to go with him to several Ayurvedic physicians in the city of Mumbai. I had a chance to learn from each one of them. Each one had a different specialty.
Wow.
See, Ayurveda is a variation, and each physician can choose his own method. I got exposed to more than about a dozen or 15 Ayurvedic physicians and their style of practicing. Second, then I also went to Udar, where I learnt the basics of clinical aspects under a very renowned physician by the B.S. Sankarkar. Rather, I can call him as that he was the one from whom I learned a lot. The third part was the exposure to the clinical methods as being observed by well-known, academics in the field of modern medicine. When you see them, people like Naushir a neurophysician, or when you come across people like Dr. A.K. Malavia, a rheumatologist from All University of Delhi. And I was fortunate to get exposed to that method of inquiry, method of examining the patient. And finally, the most thing that one learns is how you become critically observer. You have to become a good critical observer. And fortunately that I learned much early in my life to become a good clinician. I was always learning from every possible corner that I can gather something about how to make diagnosis, what to do the treatment, how to make diagnosis, and what to do. So this enriched experience, and then during early career for about 11 years I was connected with the Ayurvedic hospitals in Mumbai, and that is where my ability to make diagnosis and treatment got refined and refreshed every time.
So you have had a long career of research and industry. How has that impacted your practice?
Very nice, Sonia. In fact, I can say that I am highly influenced by both these activities. One, which encourages your curiosity as a researcher. Another is management, where you try to resolve issues. You try to define objectives and you resolve issues.
Right.
So both of these activities have their own influences. One which raises your curiosity, raises your sense of inquiry, which you can convert into every patient. You become more and more curious about. Then as a management person, you try to aim differently, try to aim and find solutions. So if I look back then, I think research made me very objective. So whenever I will look at the patient or when I will look at the outcome or what to choose as in terms of treatment, I will try to be maximum objective as much as I can rather than subjective. So objectivity became one of the main reasons because of research. On the other hand, the management, as you say, industrial career, where I was put up with challenges. So whenever you have a challenge, you look at the whole horizon. Look at options, and then you learn to choose the best one. So even when you are dealing with a patient, particularly challenging situations or complex situations, or the complex individuals, what you do is that you look at the options that are available to you and try to choose the right one. And when you have the ability to connect the cause and effect relationship, that is my favorite statement you will find again and again. So to connect that cause and effect relationship, both the research and industry has helped me. One more experience which I must share at this stage is that quite early I had the opportunity of analyzing the videos which were done by a German medical sociologist of Ayurvedic institutes and the clinical practices that were done, 58-hour videos. And I was invited to Germany to examine it, translate it, transcribe it, comment upon it, infer it and comment upon it.
Wow.
And that gave me a huge depth to understand what are the strengths and weaknesses of the system.
Fantastic.
Ayurvedic clinical practice as in private practice rooms and in hospital were analyzed by three of us, a medical sociologist, a medical psychiatrist and me, to look at its impact and analyzing it. And that experience really opened up my eyes. I stopped believing in what we are thinking was right. I started opening up in terms of creating questions about what I was doing all the time. So that added to my ability to become more neutral, to more objective. And I think this all experience put together, I think has made me a better doctor.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, doctor. So I have known you since I was 15. That's when I was first your patient. I've always known you to be a disciplinarian. So, what is your take on that?
Sabin, you are on dot, and I know that this is something which bothers many people who work with me. I've also come across patients who think that I am very hard taskmaster. Till they really understand my depth, and then they become my followers. And I've been very fortunate that they appreciate what I do. Yes, you are right. See, Ayurveda is very clear about as a clinician, I have to follow my principles. So if the patient is not ready to take care of himself or herself, he is not ready to be responsible for her own or his own health, the first thing which I want to ensure that they become conscious about it. So whether it is coming to the clinic, taking your appointments, adhering to time, trying to understand that you are a atura. In Sanskrit, atura means I am a seeker of health.
Wow.
You cannot go to a doctor with a dictation. That is the basic principle. That is what Charak says. Whereas Charaka Samhita very clearly mentions about responsibility towards patient. It also clearly defines that an Ayurvedic physician has a right to choose his patient. So I may not follow it in total letter and spirit, but the approach is that I'm here to help you out if you are ready to help yourself. That is the approach which I follow. I follow absolute ethics in my practice. There has not been a single instance where I have followed any referral practice. A medical representative mostly has no place in my clinic. I don't recommend to patients to any specialist or anything for my own reasons. Whenever I need, I do seek help. When I need, I do tell them that I need this outside or modern medical advice. I do need this expert opinion from outside. I don't hesitate. Final decision is to be mine. But I am following my own rules and methods. Because I give my total commitment to patient if they are committed to their health. This is my simple equation. And this has been something which I learned from my father, and maybe that is my tradition. And I think that is the best relationship that one can develop. It may have some hassles in the beginning, but I think I have had satisfactory relationship with my patients over a period of time. When I look back, I'm more than satisfied that I have really contributed as an Ayurvedic physician to hundreds of lives. And that I feel very confident and contented as I nearly complete my nearly 40-45 years of clinical practice.
So, sir, it was really interesting to learn about the roots and the beginnings of your practice, and we will continue our conversations with Dr. Narendra Bhatt.